Back in here for another episode of Believe in Kentucky. My name is Vinny Hardy. Got AG Aaron Gershon of the Cat's Paws. AG, man, we got some stuff to talk about. I do believe, right?
Yeah, I mean it's the quiet time of year. We weren't really like, every week it's kind of like, all right, where do we go? Where do we go? And then Vince Marrow gives us this beautiful gift. So, yeah, we definitely have things to discuss tonight. One of the busier news weeks you're going to have in the month of June at Kentucky. So, crazy stuff, and we'll get into all of what this means. Mostly the bad, because I don't really, there's no way to really spin this one at all. So we'll get into it.
Yeah. And we are live here on the Believe Network, our YouTube, Facebook page. Y'all want to get some comments in, feel free. Oh, if you want to subscribe, definitely hit the subscribe button. And if you want to rate on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen, give us a little rating. That actually helps us. We appreciate it. Give us a little rate. If you want to write a little review, tell us what you think about the show, and subscribe. All the good stuff. We would definitely appreciate it. If you got questions, let them fly. And y'all know AG is close to the program and covers everything every day. So we'll take your questions and comments, reactions, thoughts. It's been a little minute. Actually, it was Monday. We were live Monday, had Jagger Burton on, and the minute we finished, I mean, hey, hit end the recording, and then bam, this news about the big dog comes through. Had a fun conversation with Jagger. He was, the kid's down to earth. He's, got lots of perspective. We talked about it. He had to, him and Trent Noah spearheaded tornado relief for London and Somerset, and have helped trucks from Kroger Field to go to send basic necessities, water and diapers and things you don't even think about. We talked about that. He was candid about performing well. He graded out 99% on his assignments, 76% on his techniques, but on a bad team. And he had to wrestle with that. He said, I'd much rather grade it out at 50% and we win than me, do what I did. He got hurt, the hamstring, second game of the season. So he's basically doing an Allen Iverson, just basically getting through the week, not practicing, and then showing up and gutting it through the games. Fun conversation with him. We hit all those topics. So if y'all want to go back and listen to that, watch that, feel free. The Vince news just blew everything out of the water, as you would expect. And, you just can't have, I guess, you can't have a bunch of Youngstown on the show. Wolford leaves, he comes back. Vince has been rumored to leave several different times. You got Stoops' brother over there. Just I guess too much Youngstown, and Vince is like, I'm gone. And they've been friends for years. Cardinal Mooney, we heard the stories, and he leaves in June, like you said, to go to Louisville.
Ooh. Yeah. I think the timing of it, I guess, where to even start? This has been a thing for a while. Every time an attractive job or a job that Vince Marrow is connected to, through relationships, you go back to Michigan State, I think it was the first one when Mel Tucker first got there. He tried really hard to bring Vince Marrow with him. I know Michigan, I forget what I don't know if it was Clink after Clinkscale got there or if it was even starting before then, but Michigan has tried hard in the past. You had some of the North Carolina, and look, Purdue, when Jeff Brom was there, Jeff Brom and Vince Marrow played together in the XFL, and there were conversations then, but, Purdue is Purdue. You're not going to leave Kentucky for Purdue. And then there were conversations, of course, when Jeff first got to Louisville, which is still, I think, historically it's pretty even, but as far as fan base, just size wise, as far as financials, as far as conference, I still think Kentucky is the better job if you're going to be objective about it. So, that didn't come to fruition when Jeff first got there. They've tried again. They tried again very close to the end of the season, then right after the end of this season, and Kentucky was able to keep Vince Marrow to stay. You had that awkward think it was KSR. I thought for some reason, I know he had one time where he filled in for Mark on the coach's show, and it wasn't that awkward, but it wasn't like the most convincing show in the world. And then, the clip comes out from, I think, KSR, where he's basically, when he's asked point blank, do you expect to be here next year? He's like, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
You had that, and it's just, okay, like, and then there's all these more, and we'll get into what now, and we talked about it, I think, at length either last week or the week before. Like Kentucky, now they're up to 4, but at the time they were at 2 commitments at the high school level. There were hardly any kids from Ohio visiting during the camp periods. And then the kids from Kentucky, 6 out of the top 10 in the state are committed to Louisville. The number 1 player you have committed to Kentucky, but 6 of the rest of the 10 committed to Louisville. And then, I think Indiana and Western have one in there as well. So it's like, all right, what the heck is going on here? These are the areas that Vince forever cleaned up in and was not even, no pun intended, but so motivated to go and kick butt in. And it's like, all right, what is going on here? And now it all leads to this departure. And it clearly seems there was a shift in strategy as far as who is going to have the final say, who is going to be the one to kind of target players and take the lead. For a long time, it was Vince Marrow. And clearly what has come to fruition is that is not the case anymore. And Marrow, look, and I don't say this in a negative way necessarily. He's got a big ego. He's very much a brand, that he feels like he is a brand. He wants to do things his way. And look, that he was doing him his way for such a long time. It can be hard to just tell a guy, hey, like, we're switching it up. So I kind of get that as well. So there's a lot that I think that was going on behind the scenes that they did an okay job at holding together. I mean, look, when you have a relationship like those two, Stoops and Marrow, have, where they've known each other forever and they've worked together for over a decade, like, you're going to have fights, you're going to have disagreements, like that just comes with the territory. But clearly what happened with this power struggle that we'll get into in a second here, like, I think that's what kind of led to all this. And I just go back to do it in the middle of June, which again is, if not the busiest, one of the busiest recruiting months of the year as far as high school goes. And to, of course, to go to the arch rival, that's a statement move. He made a statement that, and eventually, like, it's just in Vince's DNA, and again, not negative, like, he's going to come out and talk. Like, we're going to learn more about exactly what went down, and Vince is going to give his side of it, and hopefully eventually Mark Stoops and Kentucky's program will from people within Kentucky's program will speak and give their side of it. But something there was a lot going on that Vince Marrow clearly was unhappy about and felt the need to make a statement like this, because you just don't make this move in June, especially to the arch rival, even if you are well connected with Jeff Brom and he's been your buddy for a long time too. Like, you just don't make this move unless you're trying to make a real statement, in my opinion.
Yeah, just it just, like you said, you really trying to like stick it to them, like, make it hurt, like, hit them where it hurts as much as you can.
That's how it comes off.
Yeah. It's just, you mentioned the power struggle. You mentioned, and it's, you're part of a staff. You're with these dudes more than you are your family, and they're gonna be bumps and bruises and things like that. But with the dip, the lull in recruiting, you mentioned, like you said a couple of weeks ago, how quiet it's been, how they only had 2 commitments. Did you still think, well, he's going to leave, or is he just? I mean, he's good at what he does. He's confident. He's there to recruit Ohio. He's there to do this. Or were they just going to let that ride? And okay, is he going to pick it up? Or
I thought that it was, again, I go back to, I thought this, I still think, and I could be wrong, I'm speculating here, I'm not reporting anything.
Yeah.
I still think this is probably the last year of this era I mean,
Yeah.
maybe I'm wrong. I mean, there's a lot of money on the line here, but I just think all the signs are kind of there. So I figured I did not think, and I didn't hear that this was going down or that it was going to happen now. I thought if Vince was going to leave, it was going to be at the end of the year. I thought, when he committed to staying in December, when he turned down North Carolina, I know they came at him in January and maybe
Yeah.
again in March. Like I thought when all that was turned away, we were probably just okay, he's going to be here this year and
Mhm.
whether he likes it or not, like that's kind of the move for this
Yeah.
year. But yeah, this is pretty shocking to me. Like I can't lie. I did not there were some Twitter stuff like fans making the cryptic posts and I'm like, "Oh, here we go again. What is going on?" And then like 20 minutes later, you get the tweet from Pete Thamel, who's the number one source. He's the Adam Schefter essentially of college football at this point. So it's just it happened really quick. And look, I mean, I think it was Mac Jones that reported that Vince Marrow was recruiting on behalf of Kentucky as recently as a Sunday, and you have pictures from Kentucky of of them doing a team bonding thing where Vince Marrow's shooting basketballs
Yeah.
and he's
Yeah.
tweeting about how he beat some of his players.
Yeah.
So it's like, what the hell
Uh-huh.
happened in those 48, 72 hours? It's just there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of answers I'd love to have, and we don't have them right now. But man, something was amiss. So there was I think there were a lot of signs with how the recruiting philosophies changed. Some of the players they brought in, this portal cycle, one thing you didn't see as much of were, I'm trying to think if there might have been one or two, but I'll go through and look at the list in a second. But, a lot of the times Kentucky, they found their portal guys through guys they recruited hard out of high school and didn't get. Obviously the poster child of that is Wan'Dale Robinson, who they lost out on initially. Well, they got committed, and then he ends up going to Nebraska instead, and they were able to keep that relationship for when he entered the portal. Countless other guys where that's been a thing. I mean, the most recent one for me off the top of my head is Jalen Farmer. That was a guy they really wanted out of high school, ends up going to Florida. They keep the relationship. They end up getting him out of the portal. But this time around, there wasn't much of that. Like, Miquez Grace Humphrey is a Cincy guy, but, he was a no-star high school recruit that no power schools were really in on. Yeah, Dante Dowell, they recruited pretty hard out of high school, but, and Wimberly's, the Alex, the right tackle from Bowling Green, the Joshua Bronze, the Kendrick Laws, Landon Watson, Sam Green, like these are not guys that Kentucky were after out of high school. Zach Calzada, Shaziah Pete, David Gusta, go down the list. Like these are not guys that Kentucky was in on. And I get you like there's more quantity that you needed to add. So you're not going to be able to just fill it with guys who had previous connections with. But I think it just, again, it's another sign of, hey, like, I mean, go back to last year's transfer portal class. Chip Trainum was the guy they really wanted out of high school, didn't get. Jamon Dumas Johnson's the guy they offered out of high school. Christian Story is the guy they offered out of high school. Gerald Mincy's the guy that I believe was committed to Kentucky at one point. DJ Waller's a Youngstown guy. Gavin Wimstat, they were hot on his trail. So it's like, it all adds up. 2023, going back to that one, Ben Crispin, was a guy that they tried to get really hard out of high school. Jansen Dunn from Bowling Green, a guy they really wanted out of high school. Tanner Bowles, a guy from right down in Glasgow, a guy they really wanted out of high school. JQ Hardaway, Phoenix City, school they've been at hard over the years, really wanted him out of high school. Like those were that was kind of the way they did business in the portal. And that didn't happen this offseason. And I go back to, that's where I want to tie in the power thing. It seems like the move that was made was to give more power to their de facto general manager, who is Eddie Grant, which is just crazy that it's Eddie Grant. But it seems like the decision that Mark Stoops made was, okay, Vince has been the guy calling the shots. Vince has been the face of our recruiting. We've taken a step back the last 3 years. let's change up our philosophy. And the philosophy was we're going to have the position coaches recruit for their positions. You're seeing, the new wide receivers coach has actually been one of the guys working really hard this cycle. You see it with Chris Collins. He's a pretty good recruiter doing the work on the DBs, and then Anwar Stewart. Like, they've shifted philosophies, and Vince Marrow has kind of been lost in the shuffle a little bit. And I think all that, has kind of led to this moment.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. Like you mentioned, just the timing of it, just you thought they were past this cycle once Belichick came calling, and that didn't go, and just it's crazy. And for it to be in June, like you said, and the shift in philosophy, for each guy for him not to just kind of be the Don, that dude that, he goes to Ohio, he's locked Louisville down, he had it, that was, I mean, look, they was getting guys out of Louisville, and it was just, Kentucky had Louisville locked down, and now for it to flip that quickly, just and for it to just blow up, like, not just a little.
No,
we're knocking heads, we're friends, and we're just tired of each other. We're getting on each other's nerves. But it went from that to 0 to 100 to, hey, no, this is a divorce that's irreconcilable differences, to so to speak, to where it's we can't even coexist anymore, man. And it's just unreal.
It really is. It really is unreal. But yeah, it's there. The warning signs were kind of there. Again, we talked at length just last week about, all right, this is weird. What is going on? And I think, everything's kind of come to fruition, and it's unfortunate. It's terrible timing. Look, I at the end of the day, like, is it going to affect the 2025 season?
Right.
No. The 2025 roster is locked in. This is not even this is just a state like this. Again, this is not sour grapes. This is not, let's bash on Vince Marrow, but Kentucky has never sent a tight end that's been drafted, I don't believe, off the top of my head, in his tenure. And they've had, let's call it, every year we're saying, oh, we have this talented tight end room. Let's get them the ball. Like, at the end of the day, is it the coaching? Is it under? It's just fair questions. Yeah. So it's not really, in my mind, going to affect this 2025 team, because you have a guy in Willie Rodriguez who I think could be good with any coach. You have Josh Gaddis, who's a senior. He is what he is at this point. You can improve, of course, but he's a proven guy. It's not Vince Marrow is not going to make him even better this year. Mikkel Skinner's a freshman, so that was a Vince Marrow relationship. That'll be an interesting one to watch this time in the offseason. Well, if there's a coaching change, it won't even be interesting. We know it'll do, but it'll be interesting if there isn't. And then Henry Boyer is a transfer that again had no previous relationship with Marrow. So it's like, it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna really, you're gonna see it affect much this year. It's more a perception thing. It's more of a face thing. Like, it's different. He's one of the most beloved assistants in UK football history, if not the most beloved. And it's gonna look a lot different. And strategies are gonna change. So. And again, we're already seeing it. Jarvis Strickland was Vince Marrow get, but the other three guys, you get a kid from Vero Beach today, Jordan Crutchfield, which I believe I want to make sure my geography is correct, is South. Yeah, it's a South Florida kid. Do you remember who used to clean up and love South Florida?
Oh, Frank.
Eddie Grant.
Oh, Eddie. Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
That was kind of his bread and butter.
I was thinking Bufano.
Yeah, you go back to Jordan Wright. That was Eddie Grant, recruiter there. Yeah, I mean, he South Florida was an area he hit really hard during his time at Auburn. So, like, I think you're just seeing a shift in strategy. And Mark Vince Marrow kind of felt like the odd guy out in the situation.
So will Stoops address this, or is he going to lay low until media days? How is he going to play it? And we were talking earlier, I, I don't know if what he can say that can even pacify anybody or make comfort anybody, but is he just going to lay low until media days, or come out and state his side now? How you think it's going to go?
I don't know. I think it probably is going to wait till SEC media days.
Man.
Unless I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I mean, I think
Yeah.
he should get on local radio. I know he's on vacation this week. That was reported, and that's something I know. We know because we're, our yearbook interview with him is coming up. I'm not at liberty to say when, but Daryl's got that coming up. So it's just. I don't know. I just think at this point, like the strategy he's kind of taking, again, this is so similar to the end of the Cal area where he's kind of taking the bunker strategy.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that. There's the similarities between the.
Yeah, he's hot, man. Like he's talked. I think he didn't hide from the post-practice stuff after spring. So that's good. Like he did all the ones he was supposed to do this spring. He talked after the little spring game, whatever the heck you want to call it. And he, but other than that, we heard from him on high school national signing day, and that's it. Like he didn't talk after they signed the portal class. There was nothing. So I don't know if we'll hear from him again till Atlanta, unless it's with. I don't know. I'm sure once Vince Marrow, that announcement gets made, which it is kind of weird. We're sitting here on Wednesday and we don't have an announcement, but that's neither here or there. But once that, Penn has put the paper at Louisville, I'm sure something like some sort of statement's going to come out. But I think it would do him a lot of good with how the fan base is at this point to do something, say something, do anything, but make a Cal-esque video. I don't care what it is. Just talk to your fans. Like they want to hear from you. Like they're going to root for you this year. There are probably some fans, and those are the worst type of fans where they root against you and they're like just to prove a point that they're right. But I think 99% of Kentucky fans are hoping they're wrong and that Kentucky goes out and shocks the world this year. But they also want to hear from their head coach. So you're still the head coach. They're getting paid $9 million to be the head coach. Like, come on. It's time to talk to your people because they care. They care a lot.
So I was looking at Nick Coffey. And I think when the news first broke, he just quote tweeted somebody and said, "Oh my word," when the news of Vince coming to Louisville. But you mentioned, and it's valid, the stable of tight ends. You just kept expecting these guys to blow up because Vince. You keep hearing about all these guys in the tight end room. Even some of the Louisville fan reaction to Coffey's tweet, they were like, "Well, I mean, now he's just going to come over here and underwhelm." And these are Louisville fans who are making their rival weaker. They're already weak, and you're taking, a prominent member of Kentucky staff. And I didn't go through every reply, but it wasn't unanimous joy and jubilation. But even from the Louisville side, there were some that like, yeah, that's cool.
I think they're more wanting to stick it to Kentucky. I don't even know how really excited they are for the big dog. I think they're more, we got your guy. Like, right. And they have every right to be that way.
Yeah. And there were some that was, why do we keep trying to shop at the Wildcat Market? Stuff like that are like, well, we like in their minds, we're better than this. It's kind of the vibe. So that wasn't, so it wasn't even, I don't know. I was a little surprised to see, it's not even universal hype joy over there on their side either. So it's just weird. It's really weird.
Yeah, it is really, it's weird is the way to put it. The whole thing is indeed weird. And It's going to be really weird. The whole thing is going to be weird. And, he's not in an on-field role, too. That's the other part of it. So it's not like, I've heard people say, oh, I can't wait to see him on the sideline. Like, you're not going to see him on the sideline. He's a GM. And if he is on the field, Louisville would be owing the buyout. That's how they're getting around this buyout. So
yeah, that's pretty slick, too.
Yeah, look, I think for Jeff Brom and Louisville, like, it's a great move. I've got nothing there's nothing I can do to poke at them. Like, I think this is a really good move. Is it going to work out the way they hope? We'll see. Yeah. Part of it too is, again, not using this word seriously now, like, how motivated is Vince really? Was he also mailing it in? Or did he is it like Cal, where he kind of needed this shot in the arm at a new school?
Wow.
So we'll find out soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I am curious. I know for a fact, by the way, I'm not accusing Vince of recruiting for Louisville. He didn't pull an Eric Wolford. But I am curious if Louisville has been telling some of these in-state recruits, hey, we're going after Vince.
Mm-hmm.
Not again, Vince, I'm not accusing of doing anything wrong, but it wouldn't be a bad strategy for Brian Brom to be like, we're hoping that the guy you like that's recruiting you for the other schools with us soon. So
yeah, and definitely wouldn't be out of real possibility for sure.
Yeah, so it's crazy. It is what it is. And look, again, this is not going to affect the 25 season, but it adds more pressure. It adds more pressure. And that is the last thing Kentucky needs at this very moment.
And more pessimism. It has more.
Oh, absolutely. There's even more like, all right, here we go. This is the last year of this, and they got to be careful, because if they don't win one of those two SEC games in September, which are Ole Miss and South Carolina, you're risking that Texas game in mid-October at home being just Austin North.
Yeah.
And then not it being it already all Tennessee fans always show up here, not to the point where they have more fans than Kentucky, at least recently, but you're going to be looking at Knoxville North too. Like, you gotta, and you're going to be hearing the John Summerall chants again. Like, they're starting to, they're flirting with danger. They already have been, but now they're kind of have 1 foot in the water, and they can jump in the last one at any point.
And it's hard to believe. I was talking to my other podcast. It's possible that he could almost leave it worse than he found it, and he found it horrible.
Yeah. That's another thing. You don't want that. Like,
that is.
There is still, like, he is the winningest coach in this program's history. Of their 4 10-win seasons, he was the head coach for 2 of them.
Yeah.
Like, he broke the Florida streak. He's done a lot of good here. Some of the best players to ever put on the blue and white, some of the highest draft picks were under his leadership. And, like, do you really want to go out as the guy who mails it in and doesn't seem to care anymore? And, like, do you really want that to be your last legacy here? Or do you want to go out as the guy that did all he could and overachieved at a place like Kentucky?
Mm-hmm.
I would like to think he's going to take the overachieved route, and that's going to be what he wants, but that's going to be up to him at this point.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. The other football news, if I can share this screen, it's always an adventure. We'll see. Let's see, because we had talked about the schedule. We got the times, and you'll know exactly when that you'll be, when you'll be where, and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. Let's see if we can. Here we go. There we go. So we got the 12:45 for the first one against Toledo, 3:30 Ole Miss, 7:30 Eastern Michigan, South Carolina's a flex, Georgia is noon, Texas night game, Tennessee a night game, Auburn is a flex, Florida's a flex, 1:30 Was it Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan, whatever? Let's say Central Michigan does it end. Vanderbilt, Louisville, TBA, but looks like Vandy's afternoon. But you got some times and all that kind of stuff that just comes out this time of year. Uh, so and you already mentioned the brutal schedule. The end of September. Start with South Carolina on through October. And then, I mean, even Auburn, 1st of November, Florida, 2nd week of November. That, my gosh, 1, 2, 6-game stretch. Oh,
it is unforgiving to say the least.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the hardest top 10, maybe. I last I saw was top 10, but maybe even lower. Most difficult schedules in the country, and not the year you want it.
Exactly.
I mean, you'd much rather have Mizzou's schedule. Like, what did Mizzou get to have to do to get the schedule they got in the SEC? Like, their schedule. I'm not pulling it up with times, but SEC only. It's loading up. I mean, their non-conference is a joke too. They play Central Arkansas. I guess Kansas could be good. I don't know what they're really going to be this year. They get UMass, who's been notoriously one of the worst programs in the country.
Yeah, they went there last year, so they get them at home this year.
Zach games at home, and then Louisiana.
Yeah,
but their SEC schedule. Their 2 games. Their first 2 are semi-tough. They host, but they're both at home. They host South Carolina and Alabama, but then they go to Auburn, who is another coach that's on the hot seat. They go to Vanderbilt. They host Texas A&M at home, very winnable game. They host Mississippi State, who's the only team in the SEC on paper, I think. Probably Vandy and Kentucky and Mississippi State are probably in the bottom 3. Go to Oklahoma, who was terrible last year, and go to Arkansas, who's not any good either.
Yeah.
Like, how did they get that?
Yeah.
So,
and they feasted last year. They ate, they
went
ate
9-3. Actually, they could have been in the playoff if they didn't screw up the South Carolina game.
Yeah. Yeah. So any of those times based on for you personally you see how your fall lines up, and there's something
nothing.
You're a
really,
veteran now, but is there?
Yeah, the Georgia Nooner is interesting. That is interesting. I kind of like that. It's not Saturday night, to be honest with you. It's a great atmosphere down there in Athens at night, but gosh, that's a quick turnaround to go home the next morning from there. It's not the most fun drive in the SEC. So, I'm glad that one's at noon. We knew the first 3 weeks already, so yeah, not too many surprises. Tennessee and October home game. Any October home game with Keeneland is always going to be at night, so no surprises there. Again, you just hope that you can hold things together enough to where you could have some really good atmospheres that actually feature Kentucky fans for those 2 Texas and Tennessee games. Because I'm telling you, man, like if it gets ugly quick, there aren't going to be many Kentucky fans in the building.
Yeah, everybody's already.
Everyone's already pissed off
and looking ahead for basketball.
Yes.
Anyway,
I mean the basketball
now.
Especially when the basketball home slate is just a behemoth. Like, save your money. Like, if the Kentucky football is going to suck again, save your money because, man, that basketball home slate is going to be really good. And I put it out. We'll talk about them drawing UNC in a second, but preseason games with Purdue and Georgetown, Indiana, UNC, Florida, just announced today will be a home and home.
Yeah.
Probably going to have Tennessee as a home and home. Texas is coming. Yeah. Oklahoma's coming. Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Travis Perry coming here. Missouri. Yeah. You still may have Alabama because Alabama was a home and home last year. So I don't know exactly how that's going to shake out. Vandy probably as well, who was a tournament team last year. So maybe they have a home and home with Auburn, the way that Auburn played last year. Who knows? So it's that's a hell of a schedule. My only complaint is not having a home and home with Arkansas as a joke, but that's all right.
Yeah, they're just not going to do it. Not going to do it.
They did it with Muss. They
refused. Didn't do it last year and didn't do it this year.
And you know what? I've been on the side of, look, a lot of Kentucky fans are like, oh, Arkansas is not a rival. They are. Go look at the 90s.
Oh, my God.
Arkansas is a rival.
Oh, my Lord.
They are a rival, and some of the games with Musk got really chippy. In Arkansas, I was at that one of the better games I've been to. Honestly, that Kentucky didn't win was that game out in Arkansas in 2022. That with that team with J.D. Note and Jaden Williams that I think they made the Elite Eight. Like that was a really good basketball game down in Fayetteville. And then Musk, they came in here with Musk. The year they played a home and home in 23, the year that Kentucky beat them with Antonio Reeves out there, the 37-point game. A lot of people forget Arkansas came up here and kicked their ass at Rob. So like that, it's a rivalry. I don't care what anyone says, especially now with Cal there. Like you can't lie. Don't lie. Don't make it just so you're, trying to be tough guy for these Arkansas fans. Just it's a rivalry. Like it is what it is. It's a rivalry and it's fun. And for that game to not be happening twice to me is a joke. Not an ounce of me agrees with that decision, but whatever.
It's a swing and a miss twice. I mean,
yeah. Oh yes. I mean, at least last year you knew you were going to get the home game. So, but like. It's not even just to appease Kentucky fans. Like ESPN, do you know what you're doing by not having that second game? Like that's going to be one of the most watched games of the year. So whatever. Their loss, I guess. I mean, it's just a dumb decision, but oh well.
And what'd you say? What you mentioned too, North Carolina. You want to hit on that too, right? We finally got the SEC ACC challenge. Yeah.
Good to see they got it right for once.
Not Clemson this time. You got Florida and Duke, but
look, the Clemson ended up being a really good team.
They did.
And obviously beat Kentucky, so you give Clemson their flowers, but. It's just look. They had a chance they couldn't have played Duke. I understand that, but had a chance to have a game in Chapel Hill. I think that would have been really cool. This year, I'm glad they did it, especially when you have the Caleb Wilson stuff too, right? Where he was. I think it's really, really good time. So, that's going to be a really great atmosphere. Carolina hasn't come here since 2023. No, 2014.
14, yeah.
They haven't played since 2023. 2014 was in that 1-point game. So it's going to be a lot of fun. That's again, I mean, this home schedule is loaded, and the Knicks requested to interview Billy Donovan. What are they doing? Anyway,
they're getting told no a lot. That's what
the Bills won't even let them talk to Billy Donovan. Jesus. But
grass ain't always greener, man.
Yeah, jeez. But so I got distracted by that. That's the funniest one yet. I just call Cal at this point.
Yeah. Exactly.
I know. I saw he denied that he would be interested today, but come on.
Yeah.
Just give him a call.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, so that's some of what's been going on in our neck of the woods, the Kentucky-centric stuff. Non-sports, but people that we know. Our fellow co-host, Jalen Whitlow, tied a knot today, so congratulations to him.
Yes, sir.
Saw that on Instagram earlier, so congrats to Jay Witt and his new bride. And another OG colleague, is retiring. We saw Jerry Tipton retire a year or two ago from the Hurl leader. Now John Clay is after 40 years or 44 years, 40 plus years, he's retiring at the end of the month. So I only spoke to him a couple times. I didn't know him as well as you, but that's another legend from the beat that's gonna call it a career here. So happy retirement to John Clay.
Yeah, absolutely. John is he's a pro's pro, man. So that is really it sucks for the readers and it sucks for us that he's leaving, but man, it's well deserved. 44 years at his hometown paper is pretty special. So congrats to John. I got to congratulate him at the press conferences with Owe and Brandon on what day was that now? Geez, Tuesday. So really, really happy for John. We'll miss him around these parts. I know his readers are going to miss him because he's one of the best at what he does. So, happy Charles to him. I know he's got it lined up well. He's on vacation for 2 weeks. So this is really his de facto last week. So definitely pick up the Herald Leader this week, especially, with him calling it a career.
Yeah, absolutely. So congrats to John, and anybody able to retire and go out on their own terms. I'm not mad at them no matter what occupation you're in. So yeah, definitely gonna miss the content, but he deserves to be able to say I'm done, and I'm gonna go ahead and relax and sleep in and do whatever else I'm gonna try to do. So congrats to John
No
Clay.
question.
Sure.
No question.
Oh. So man, another jam-packed summer episode of Believe in Kentucky.
Just when you thought we were in complete dead silence.
Right. Yeah.
As big of a June bomb as you're going to get.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. So, look, we'll keep coming throughout the summer with episodes. We appreciate y'all continuing to watch and listen. Please go and subscribe and rate and review. We definitely appreciate that. Check Aaron out at the Cat's Paws, Eagershaw99. Follow us at Believe in Kentucky. Follow me at Vinny Hardy. We'll be back next Wednesday. Might be me just solo, but if it is, however,
I might be back in time. We'll see.
if not, hey man, we'll hold the fort down, and we'll see what happens between now and then. Who knows? Anything is possible. Just when you think it's quiet, it's not. But look, everybody stay safe. We'll finish watching Game 3, see what Shea can do against the Pacers. Working our way towards football. This upcoming season has us kind of, it is what it is. But
got a little more interesting now.
Absolutely. But everybody stay safe. Enjoy your summer. Go Cats. Like, subscribe to Believe in Kentucky. And we'll see y'all on the next episode. For Aaron, this is Vinny. We'll holler at y'all later. Believe.